Hi, it's Joy and today I'm going to be watching Roswell, New Mexico, Season 3, Episode 2. Give me a reason. Just a little bit's enough. Just a second, we're not broken. Just bent. We can learn to love again. Sorry, I love that song by Pink. I don't know if that's what the title is referencing, but I hope it is. This show is everything to me. I am so excited for it to be back. I need to know who's in the coffin, and I need to know many other things. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon. I'm right at the beginning of the month, so this is the perfect time to sign up to my Patreon or anybody's Patreon that you want to sign up to, so that you just get charged once and get a full month's worth of access. So yes, without further ado, let's go.
You bring in the big guns.
Michael.
You meant a literal gun. First we get answers, then we pop a sticker in a cooler, and we call it a day.
Thank you, Michael, for agreeing with me. I mean, yeah.
First of all, it's too ironic. I'm the only one who. But before I off a man, I like to cross my T's and dot.
I mean, I agree, we cannot really just kill the man, but also we could save Max.
You gonna set him free, see if he gets inside your head and makes you murder a couple of teen girls?
Michael, that's a low blow. And you're worried about Max, but that's not something you should say.
It's true. It's him or it's Max. No matter what we do.
It is, I mean, I know it was my idea, but it is still murder. Ooh, this. We're seeing their planet.
Forge the resistance in the hopes of regaining the world.
They were the leaders of the resistance? That's cool.
So, his secret weapon. Not that I had a choice.
Well, do we trust him? I don't trust him, but we also might trust him.
Are you sure you want to hear this, darling?
It's their history. Morning after the night before.
About that night.
Yes.
Oh, this guy seems lovely and he deserves the world. But Liz is in love with someone else.
Maybe you'll be riding your leopard print jet ski one day and boom, you remember the last 10 years.
Oh,
A leopard print jet ski? Are you listening?
he doesn't remember 10 years.
Spend time with the people you know.
Whoa.
Just look for any dick waving a Confederate flag.
Okay, things are...
Bedside manner.
South lost the war.
It depends how far you fall down the Reddit thread. We're done here.
He seems like a nicer person. I guess it was his sister's death that pushed him into absolute dick territory. No
Dad's
excuse.
waiting for you at the nurse's station, Mom.
People don't have to become evil dicks just when they have a tragedy. But Rosa actually might have helped save his life if he's gonna, like, have a life that means something, even if he's forgotten the last 10 years.
That Valenti bedside manner that I've heard so much about.
Yes,
Reserved for people who don't pull guns on
her
us.
brother.
He's gonna get his memories back.
His
I'm feeling
sister.
gross with the tear gas.
Alex. He's gonna do it and I hate it. How is Maria?
They held me at gunpoint. They stole a week's worth of cash. They smashed half of my booze.
Oh.
Tried to do the same to my head.
Was it just a robbery?
No, not now. Listen,
Or was it
I need your
more
help with
than that?
something else.
It wasn't long until the dictator came and rounded me up.
Did he take you to supervillain summer camp?
Not again.
What
Michael.
did he want with you?
I hate this because I need this information. It's a bit like when Noah told us things and was teaching us things. At the same time, like, I want the information, I want to learn everything, but I also cannot trust anything.
Too much. Tortured my parents. The day he killed them, a part of me died too.
Yeah? Welcome to the Our Parents Died Horrible. So what?
Oh, Alex. I really don't want him to join Blue Sky.
Just guess we got about 3 hours to figure out when.
Well, this is wonderful. Is that guy, like,
We have significantly less time than that.
actually...
The air supply, they're actively sucking it out of the room.
I wonder whether he's part of the test, like, monitoring Alex from the inside, or if he's also being tested.
Narrow view. I just need to trigger one, then I
Ring, ring, your brain is calling. It says stop
Oh,
hitting me.
fuck.
Someone could die, Kyle.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you.
Maria could as well. I hate this so much. I love everyone here so much.
Carl's right. I'll figure this out.
Well, last night was fine.
Oh,
Sorry, fine?
No, I'm
Liz.
stressed, and I had to have these samples overnight from. So there's nothing left back there for me. And you know what? There's clearly nothing left
Oh.
for me here either.
I'm sorry. Josh from the originals, whose name I cannot remember in this show. Liz is everything, but she's not for you.
Why was
was there some rift between you?
It's complicated.
Is it?
Don't explain it.
You stepped off the ship. You set fire.
Those men would have killed all of us.
You are the reason they wanted to kill us. The reason they killed our moms. Everyone on that ship.
Your moms had the best of intentions. I fully believe that. But the dictator...
I don't trust him as being too reasonable and nice.
He had abilities no one had ever seen.
Oh.
What kind of abilities?
Are you the dictator?
I met
That our mothers made Max.
Well, someone did. So why not let Discount Max tell us?
Discount Max.
Cannot believe you're actually buying his bull.
Oh.
Everything he says is a lie.
Nobody lies about everything.
It's like,
I'm willing to bet
exactly.
some truth. to what
Probably
you're
the
saying.
basic story is
What
true,
exactly did you
Michael.
hear down there that proves that your mother's story is a little less black and white than you thought?
Oh. They all have such traumas, and he just needs to believe that his mother was purely good.
Maybe you're right. I can't hear anymore today. Let's pick this up tomorrow.
Someone needs to watch over him, make sure he doesn't escape, right?
What kind of bird? Now? We may not get the chance later.
Alex is onto something.
What your badge? Has 4 diamonds.
Hmm. Alex, run. This is not a good place for you. I didn't say run, I said run.
Your work in Roswell was what?
Dinner this Friday, Italian, and I like the ocean.
Oh. Liz, I know she thinks Max isn't coming for her and she's trying to kind of force herself over him, but
what is up here that connects
Mhm.
your vision?
Technically,
nothing.
can't. But I think adrenaline is a way to trick my
Holy
mind.
shit.
This is what I think it is.
You're gonna catch me.
Is anyone watching as well?
You wanna know whose funeral it was too?
But none of us want to go to yours.
Uh-huh.
Down, I'm calling this in.
Find a different way.
Don't have time!
Maria, my heart.
Think fast, Evans.
Oh, fuck.
Maria, go!
Oh. Uh-huh.
Garen,
Do you want to tell me why you just jumped off a building?
Max
Yeah.
is supposed to catch me. Your abilities are the only ones that don't have limits. You really never noticed that?
Ooh, that is true. Very true.
I'm not like you, Garen.
I can't just sit on a bar stool somewhere pretending that nothing matters. Someone is getting murdered.
He didn't know.
Just to find out who and why, I'm damn well gonna do it.
Okay, Maria. But yelling at Michael about it, he knew nothing about the murder, right? Because you didn't tell him about that vision. He's been here all day. So don't get mad at Michael. He just saw you jump off a building and freaked out. Understandably. I'm glad they're
If I can never escape.
having a relationship.
You're really trying. That must be scary.
Yeah. He's a good big brother that never knew he was a big brother. Who's also a little brother.
Life's a pretty good reason in and of itself.
It is, Rosa, and you're going to get to have a beautiful one.
I was scared too. I thought if I could just cowboy my way. into
Yep,
my father's
exactly.
sunset, I wouldn't have to. Just remember I ran to him. And that he felt safe.
Fuck.
I didn't want to ruin your memories of your mother for a feeling I barely understand.
Oh, that backs up Jones's story. Did Jones implant that in him and it's fake news? Oh.
There's a reason
Hmm.
I exist. And he isn't. Hold up, Alex.
Well, we have his answer for why you exist. I can tell you right now.
Do right by him, maybe it would erase everything I've done. Ain't nothing changed.
He's too reasonable. I don't trust it. But maybe he's right. I just...
Like how much you love those boys, and how much they love you. I saw something else too.
What?
They underestimate you, don't they?
He's mean manipulative.
I know my life is in your hands. And I want you to know I'm okay with that.
He's definitely being manipulative because he seems too perfect and good. Oh, He is getting to her, and of course he is. He's getting to all of them, talking about their history, their planet, their family, their parents. Oh my god. Yep.
But then I was worried that your family might shoot me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're,
Backwards thinking, racist.
Wyatt does seem different after what happened with the amnesia juice.
After all this time, we still only know what we knew when we first began studying at 50
Where
years
did you find it?
Every 47
Was it in the
days at
crash?
11 p.m. Welcome to Deep Sky, Alex.
Alex. He's capable of everything. I know he loves getting answers and he's brilliant, but I'm stressed. Holy shit.
An article, actually.
you're a reporter.
Oh god.
Here to investigate Roswell's recent rise in racial crimes, the new sheriff's questionable record, and
Who's the new sheriff?
I'm the dictator's son.
But you are good.
I'm right.
You're beautiful and good and pure, and who your dad is, just like Alex knows. Who your dad is means nothing about who you are.
You're his heir.
He has every right to know about his family, but Alex is proof that you are nothing like your parents. So fucking stressed.
Liz?
Max.
Oh my god. We're not going to get to see what Maria's vision was? I hate the show because episodes end, and how dare they? They should just run continually. Oh my god. I absolutely loved everything we learned from Mr. Jones this episode. I mean, obviously, it's not like it was all sunshine and rainbows, so I don't love it in terms of like, yay, what good news. But I love it in the sense that we have so much more of an understanding of their planet now. Because like Isabel said, we can't necessarily believe his opinion on the morality of things, on whether Isabel and Michael's mothers were actually hurting Max. With Max's testimony, that kind of backs it up, but just ignoring that for now, we can't necessarily understand that he is telling the truth about who was right and who was wrong and why people did things. And also that whether or not he was good. But I think we can believe him when he talks about the dictator and the conflict on their planet, because we know from Noah there was a war. There had to be some kind of a reason that they would leave their home, even if they didn't intend to crash on Earth, because there was a stowaway that caused them to crash on Earth. I don't know where they were going, but it wasn't Earth, was it? Or if it was Earth, they were planning to stealthily land someplace, not crash land and announce their presence. I don't know. So did Jones crash the ship to get, as part of his attempt to rescue Max, when they had that altercation in which Max was chained up? Was that on the ship, or was that before they left home? I do think that there are a lot of elements of truth there. The concept of the dictator being like there being a new person in power who was terrifying and did not have the same ideals as the rest of the planet. I think we can all understand how that happens in the world. And there being a resistance movement. And we know throughout history, throughout fiction, in every world, when you're fighting against evil, sometimes there is the temptation to cross the line yourself, because you think the bad guy is such a threat that if we can just do that too, we will get the benefit of it. Now, just creating Max, I don't think is evil. I mean, okay, yeah, the ethics of cloning, who knows? But creating a child and then training him up and then trying to, like, use him to drain his life force to heal people, that is messed up. But you can definitely see that, I think, if that is what happened, yes, it's gonna shape Noah. Fuck Noah. It's gonna shape Isabel's, because she's Nora, Isabel and Michael's perceptions of their mothers. But I do believe it would be kind of the thing of them doing something that is wrong for what they thought was the right reason. You know, the good it will do will outcome the cost, and then maybe if our souls are lost, but we'll save the world for our children and we'll create goodness for our children. Hopefully, I guess, maybe, I don't know, by the time they were fleeing, by the time they chose not to overthrow the dictator but to come to a different planet, they weren't going to hurt Max. But no matter what, it definitely seems as though he's telling the truth with that. And it would definitely change your perception of your mothers. Like, neither Michael nor Isabel could think of their mothers as pure, wonderful, selfless, noble beings. But no one really is like that. They aren't them. I mean, I adore these characters, and I would argue they are many of those things, but no one is that perfect. And when you've traumatically, or you never knew your family, they were traumatically taken from you, all the terrible things that happened to them, you want to believe that they were perfect, but they weren't. And it's interesting because obviously Max's strongest memories come from this one moment in which he was chained up. Now, it seems as though that was a regular occurrence, especially given that he had nightmares about it as a child, so in no way am I trying to invalidate that, but the one moment in which there was fighting, she cut the chain, he runs to Jones. Now, maybe it was Jones keeping him captive, and then strange ladies came in and were trying to take him away from the person he knew, and so he ran to the person he knew. You know, Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know. Like, we don't know for sure, like, even if kids can be abused and still view their abuser as safe. Also, if he was being mistreated and abused by Louise and Nora, he would have run to Jones, seeing here's someone that's been fighting the people that I don't like. So we don't know either way yet. I think this episode is definitely leading us to believe Jones, but I also think he could be manipulating the facts to work to his advantage, and there's probably a little bit more to the story than we've seen, and if there isn't, I still don't think we can trust him. Even if he was looking out for Max, there's still more to it than that. Why were their parents so convinced he was evil and had to be locked up? And why didn't they kill him? I mean, if you were willing to chain up a child and use him, wouldn't you just kill the guy that ruined everything by starting the war and all of that? Or would you... I don't know. I think it's episode 2, so obviously that if this is the truth, then it's going to shape our characters for the rest of the show and the rest of the season. But I think there's probably still more to the story, and I don't know that we can take his word for who's right, who's wrong, and who did certain things, especially as the part in which he ran to Jones and everything and he felt safe. Didn't Max say he remembered that when Jones touched him? So couldn't Jones, who has a lot more experience with all of this, know that he could do that and therefore be pushing that feeling into Max so they trust him? I mean, basically what I'm saying is I'm not believing Jones about everything, but I'm also not going, yep, he's telling 100% the truth. I am remaining skeptical, but regardless, entertaining even the possibility of that is going to be very traumatic for both Michael and Isabel. I mean, Michael has a hell of a lot of other stuff to deal with that I will be getting to, but just learning that kind of there's some comfort in knowing that your mothers were saintly saviours rather than thinking that they could have done things that were not good. Oh god. So yeah, Jones, and like I don't trust him. I think he didn't just come out with the story, he kind of went around it weird ways. The fact that he went up to Max in the first place, I don't know, it was weird. I think even if everything he said was 100% true, that still doesn't mean he's a good guy. That literally might just mean he was looking out for his clone. Or he wanted to take Max back to the dictator and say, now I can be free, have this one. I mean, again, I think that might be... I think maybe we're going to find that, like, his allegiance runs as far as Max because they're, like, related through being clones. But, yeah. And Noah had some whole thing about the saviour and then the alighting would happen or something, which we've heard nothing of since. So did he think the saviour was going to call back the dictator? Was the saviour there on the ship working for the dictator and he needs to use the device that Alex is working with, who I'll get to, I don't know, to call the dictator to where the rebels had fled? And, you know, maybe he did want to save Max, but he still was working on law to the dictator. I mean, we still need to know what Noah was going on about with that alighting, and I keep forgetting that that's a thing, and because the show hasn't revisited it, our characters haven't wondered about it, but that was a whole thing. So I don't think... So even if everything is true and Nora and Louise made a terrible, reprehensible mistake in creating and then mistreating Max, that doesn't mean he's a good guy. It doesn't mean that Jones is 100% trustworthy. He's saying things in a way that, you know, he's admitting some fault, but also being like, but I didn't want to do it. Oh, but I didn't agree with it. And oh, I struggle with it. And now I try and do some good. You know, he was so manipulative with how he talked to Isabel at the end that I definitely think he's not just going to be an A+ man who can join the team. I think there's more to it than that. then going on with that, we have the dictator, who there was a fire and the fire could not touch him. He had powers unlike anybody else's, and he was apparently immortal. Now, Michael being immortal, I support wholeheartedly. If Michael could just be confirmed as immortal, I mean, though, to be honest, immortal, does that just mean he'll never die of natural causes? Because that's kind of more tragic in a lot of ways. Or does immortal mean you could stab him in the heart and Michael would just be like, la 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 la? I mean, obviously we know he can die, or at least almost die, because he nearly did in season 1 when Noah stabbed him in the neck. Not pleasant memories. So for Michael, who's not only this episode, I mean, for one thing, Michael has always been the one desperate the most to know about where they came from, and now he has so much knowledge of their history compared to what he had, but he can't even appreciate that because he's potentially learnt that his mother was abusing Max, and he's also learnt that his mother was sleeping with the dictator to get information. I mean, tell us all the time, you know, best way you get a man to trust you, but he now knows that he's the product of someone who, A, his mother was part of the rebellion against. I think we can all agree that they fled from the dictator. This evil man is half of his DNA. Now, this is a time when I think if Michael and Alex were together, they could bond, like not bond, but just thinking about all of the times Michael has been there for Alex, or, you know, will have thought, but Alex was nothing like your father, and Alex was raised by his father. So if either of them were going to be evil because they had an evil father, it would be Alex, and we can all agree that that is not the case. But right now, to me, it feels as though Alex is going to be out of town until there's a random funeral. I don't know, I guess he'll be going home and still living in Roswell, but I need them to talk. I wish there was a way I could guarantee that they would talk, but obviously they haven't seen each other in a year. Their love is just strong, and can only grow stronger, but they've not seen each other in a year. Michael was all ready to see him when he was at the bus stop, and he didn't know for sure that he was still with Forrest, although I'm hoping that they've kind of broken up now with that ending. He's not exclusive with Forrest, that's regardless, but for Michael, who we've seen ever since the beginning, struggling with his self-worth, struggling with thinking, with anger issues for sure, which now he's going to think, oh, it's because I'm evil, because I've got evilness in me, no doubt, and struggling with his identity and with not fitting in and with not having a place and his own self-worth. I feel like over the last season we really started to see him get to a good place with that. For Michael, you know, he was making healthy decisions regarding his relationships, whether it was, you know, just amicably ending things with Maria, or thinking with Alex, you know, yeah, I could go up to him right now, maybe we would get together, but I don't think that's what's best for him or for me, but I do believe we'll have our time. That was such an emotionally mature moment. He was able to really trust that Max and Isabel loved him, and that he was part of their family, and that they didn't view him as the extra dude, that he was part of that. I think in so many emotional ways, Michael's been doing better than he ever did, and now I worry that this is going to be a backslide. Now, maybe he's going to take it as, maybe he's going to continue this emotional growth and take it really well and kind of think, oh, okay, yeah, I'm super powerful and I'm nothing like my dad. I mean, he knows Nora loved him because A, she took him with her and protected him. You know, she could have left him on the planet and been like, ugh, spawn of Satan. And their last moments together, their only moments that he remembers together, she looked at him with such love, with such desperate mother pride that he'd grown into such a wonderful man. You know, she connected with him in that moment, and there was no trace of fear, no trace of that's the spawn of Satan's son. So, you know, that's like spawn of Satan. She loved him, and if she was leading a rebellion against the dictator and she thought the little boy she was raising was a miniature version of the dictator, she would not have had that look. She would have been more like trying to work out whether he was like his father. And so I hope Michael doesn't backslide too much. I hope he's going to tell the others, but I also could see him not telling the others. The minute this episode, Maria was like, your powers never have a limit. Do you notice that? I was like, that's true. And then my brain was like, flicker, flicker, flicker. And I was like, nope, not happening. I will not accept the possibility that he could be the son of the dictator, because I knew what it would do to him to find that out. Now, Michael potentially has a scope for powers beyond anything we've ever seen, because if he's the son of the dictator who had powers that no one had ever seen, we've seen Michael has amazing telekinesis, amazing, you know, like it bursts out of him, but he is very powerful with that. But Isabel and Max are also learning to use that, so what else can he do? I'm very intrigued about that. You know, I'm like, positive spin on it. What else can Michael do? But it makes my Malex shipping heart just ache with how Michael needs Alex right now, and they're not together. And so, you know, and when I say Michael needs Alex right now, if Alex isn't there for him, in no way is that Alex's fault. They're not in each other's lives right now. But I just think they both are proof that you do not have to be the person, that who your parents' DNA is not going to shape you. And when it comes to my dad, I'm very thankful about that myself. They both prove that you are more than just your DNA, and I need him to get support on that front. Isabel, I think, did a much better job of things. Isabel always been the one with the best poker face. She lived a lot of her life behind a mask, being the person she thought everybody wanted her to be, or the person that would be the normal all-American girl that everyone would like, and, you know, oh, come the ice queen, and everyone, like, to fit in so that nobody would suspect her of being something other, to protect herself and her brothers. She very much went behind a mask that we've spent the last season, really, post Noah, seeing her shake off, seeing her figure out who she is, exactly who she is. And, you know, I've loved it. So I think she was able to pull on all that, those years of masking herself to try and hide just how horrified she was by what Jones was saying about her mother and about Max and everything. But obviously we saw that moment when she was alone, it bursting out of her, shattering all of the glass. Now I think my fears are right now, I mean, I'm proud of Isabel. My fears right now, I don't in any way think that, like, he's under her skin or she'll do whatever he says now or anything like that, but is that kind of, he's got them where he wants them to an extent. Like, he knows they're not going to just trust him, but Max has that memory that he gave him or unlocked for him of him trusting him as a child. Isabel will kind of, she's struggling with knowing the truth about her mother and with him saying, oh, you know, no one knows how strong you are, and she was really strong too. Michael is thinking about being the dictator's son, and if he doesn't immediately tell the others that, then they're kind of not as united as they were, even though they could be, and it's stress. I did love the scene between Michael and Max where, like, Max kind of was like, yeah, okay, I screwed up, I should have told you, but I thought you know, thought it was best for everyone, including myself. And then Michael kind of understood that. And it's interesting because obviously Michael's saying, well, if you don't like the answers, I mean, in that moment, Michael had heard from Jones a story of how Max was created that I do think Max deserves to hear, to judge for himself, but I also think probably Michael, there will be a little bit of that little boy who was never wanted that would think he's going to find out that my mother created him and hurt him and he's going to hate me for it or something. I don't know. Like, a little part of him will feel like there's a bad legacy there and he's not going to like me anymore. But I do hope Max does get to talk to Jones. I think he has as much of a right as the other two. I also do think that he's in a much more vulnerable state in terms of his heart, so maybe he shouldn't, but I am still stressed at what Jones can do to them. But I did like that scene between Max and Michael, and I do hope we're going to get to see Max, or find out that Max went and spoke to Jones, or that Michael told him what Jones had said. I definitely desperately need Michael to tell somebody about him whom it appears his father is. I mean, the fact that he could stick his hand in the fire does definitely make you think that that's definitely who his father is. I do not want Michael to deal with this alone. Now Maria, I love you, I'm stressed for you, but she got really mad at Michael for no reason, because unless they were having a phone call chat between all of them about the murder, like, he didn't know. She hadn't told him about her vision. All he did was walk into town, la la la, I'm gonna go find Max, and then see Maria jump off a building. Now, your instinct, I think, would be, oh fuck, save her. So, like, yeah, okay, calling out Maria, no, I guess she then knew Michael would save her, so then she wasn't scared for her life, but what was he gonna do? He didn't know what you were doing or why. I also understand that she is under a lot of stress with the vision, with them at the top being like, don't do it, and then knowing that this is harming her health. Like, I'm not really cross with Maria, but I was a bit like, Maria. She is incredibly brave. She is risking her life, her mind, to try and solve this. And I feel like she's already blaming herself for it happening, even though it hasn't happened. I am really stressed about who it is. We haven't seen Michael in a while. But I can't imagine it being Michael that's dead for Alex to be sat there like, oh, covering up a murder. Because he would be more upset about that. Even, like, you know, he didn't even look remotely stoic. He just looked like, oh, what an inconvenience this is, or I'm not happy that we're doing this. It makes me a little bit stressed that maybe Michael is going to kill Jones and that's the murder they're covering up, but then to be honest, if Jones dies, I feel like they just bury him in the desert someplace and not tell anyone. It would cause more issues if they told people. So I really am stressed. I could see it being Wyatt, but less so now, unless he suddenly gets his memories back, and then I don't know. I will get to Wyatt though. So for Maria, I am in awe of her courage in risking everything, but I also think she's not really letting herself think about the risks fully or focus on the risks. She's just focusing on being in touch with every part of who she is, which is, you know, her abilities, and then with finding out now she knows there's a murder and who is it, and trying to solve that, and it's all my fault or whatever. I think she's risking herself more than I want her to. I'm proud of her. I think she's very brave. I'm glad the others are respecting her choice because it is her choice, but I do hope she stops herself before it goes too far. I mean, I don't think the show is going to have Maria totally lose her mind, but unless there is a way we could reverse it again. But I am very stressed with her, and I think she is playing with fire right now, and she's not immortal like Michael. But I'm proud of her. I'm proud of Kyle. Kyle and Rose's scenes were everything. They are brother and sister, and I didn't know all of those years. He was the boyfriend of her sister that she didn't like, and I just think Kyle has become a man better than any man, better than you would have thought that an obnoxious little boy could ever have been. And I'm so proud of Kyle as a character. I'm scared about who the new sheriff is. I don't think we've heard who it is. And I feel like they're probably going to be someone that is ultimately going to cause us problems, because by the sounds of it, they're like a right-wing sheriff. And we don't want that in our town. I would think it would be like Jesse Maines if he wasn't dead. Maybe it's other Maines. I don't know. I'm stressed about who the mayor is. Is it going to be one of the Longs? Who knows? But Rosa and Kyle talking, and him being able to be there for her, and her being able to be there for him, I just think, like, I really enjoy their dynamic because we haven't seen too much of it since they found out they were related, and the fact that they acknowledge it now, I absolutely adore. And Rosa, she does feel guilty for wiping Wyatt's memory, and I also think she feels as though she's already back into a path of doing bad things, and she's going to ruin everything and everyone's trust and faith in her, and it's all for nothing. But she knows she didn't kill anyone back then. That we all know what happened then. So while, yeah, he was blaming her, and you get why he did, the thing I find most interesting is that Wyatt Long seems like a decent man right now. That when Kyle was like, oh, go back to waving your Confederate flag, or find your buddies with the Confederate flags, he was like, why would I have one of those? I guess, has that become more of a thing over the last 10 years in America? Because I know, like, fascism and right-winginess is exploding across the world. So is that more of a thing now than it was then? And even, like, he truly wanted to thank Rosa, and he bought her a gift, and then, you know, when she was like, oh, your family would shoot me, he wasn't like, oh, they're not so bad. He was like, yes, very awkward, they are terrible. Which makes me think that Wyatt, maybe, and his family went even further down the line of racism than they ever had been. But then also people wrote on her car, go back to Mexico or whatever. I remember, like, egged it around the day she died. So and I thought that was Wyatt's sister or whatever. So they clearly always were a bit racist. But Wyatt almost seems like he's had a bit of a personality transplant. Now maybe he's gonna be the one that dies because it's gonna slip. He's going to get his memories back like a flip and go lethal and we'll kill him, or I honestly have no idea who it's going to be that we're going to be covering up the murder and why. And I do think the show is going to surprise us. I am stressed that I've yet to see proof Michael is alive, but I'm clinging to the fact that Alex would be more upset if Michael was dead. I also love that Michael was a bit like me. I mean, I was kind of joking when I was like, we'll just go into the cave, we'll shoot him in the head, we'll grab his heart. You can't ethically do that. You would need to just talk to him to figure out what he knows about your planet. And also, you know, I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? Because you're like, if he really is a terrible murderer, we can kill him. Or if it's him or Max, maybe he'll want to give Max his heart. Now, it's not that simple, again. But, there is definitely a lot of desperation involved, especially given that they've already grieved Max and refused to grieve Max and brought him back, and then to think everything is wonderful and then have it ripped away again is almost worse. Liz, oh, I feel so sorry for Josh from the originals. Is his name like Clint or something? Keith? I don't know. he truly does seem to like her. Now maybe he's secretly going to turn out to be some kind of a mole or a spy or someone. Maybe he's going to get murdered because he's not really a nice guy and he's going to come to Roswell to spy on alien stuff and get killed. I don't know. But if he really is just the sweet guy he seems to be, Liz isn't ready right now for a long-term relationship. She might be ready for something casual. I'm not in any way saying that, like, Liz should wait for Max, because as far as she knows, Max just didn't come for her. I'm hoping she's going to find out. We'll get to that in a minute. He deserves love, and he loves Liz right now. But she's not in the headspace. A, she's super focused on her work, but also she's kind of dealing with all the trauma of everything that's happened to her and grieving Max and their relationship. So I do worry that he's the wrong person to do her first new relationship with, because he seems all in already, though he does seem very sweet. His idea, her going back to Roswell, is everything. I've needed Liz to be back in Roswell, and I'm just intrigued, is she going to stay? Because she's the main character. We need to figure out what a way for her to stay. Is she going to get involved with Blue Sky too? And they'll let her do research? Because I thought Blue Sky were the people that Jenna's sister was on the run from because they were bad. But maybe they're going to end up recruiting Liz as well, and then that'll be how she stays in Roswell and she and Alex can be teammates. I don't know, maybe they won't be as terrible as we fear they are. But I'm just very glad that Liz is back in Roswell, and I feel like she's going to be back with a bang, because A, she'll probably end up finding out about all the Maria murder situation that's going on. B, hopefully Max will tell her he's dying, or someone will tell her Max is dying, and everything else that's going on right now in Roswell. She'll be able to be there for Rosa, I hope. Arturo will get to see his daughter again, because when Liz leaves home, she leaves home. I know there's been a pandemic in the middle, but you know. I'm just glad she's home in that moment at the end when Max saw her and they just looked at each other. There is so much that needs to be said between those two, and I hope the next episode is going to open and we'll see Maria's vision, and then we'll just see Max and Liz properly talking about everything they've been through over the last year. But I also feel like it could just be a really awkward, oh, you're back, oh, how are you staying, oh, that's nice, bye, and really awkward. We will see. I feel like I've covered everything but Alex. Oh, I didn't want him to join Blue Sky just because I wanted him to be able to have a break from all of the shady drama. But what I think, for me, that makes me feel a bit better about him joining Blue Sky is that he truly does seem to be doing it for himself. You know, he's not doing it because his family's pressuring him or because he thinks, while yeah, he wants to know what they know about aliens, he doesn't currently seem to be doing it, oh, I have to do this so that I can figure out what they know to keep everyone safe. He truly just seems to be doing this for his own curiosity's sake and for his own drive. And that I love for Alex. Alex living for himself, I love. I wish he wasn't getting involved in some sort of a shady group, but I am here for Alex thriving. And he will solve this machine in no time. I don't know. I did guess that the guy was going to be part of the tech, like, observing Alex and everything, but I, you know, never in a million years enough that had I been in that situation that I would have been like, you're fake. But I did enjoy that. I'm scared about Ramos, what he really knows. Again, I don't think that it's going to be like, he recruited Alex because he knows about aliens, but he probably knows about the Mainses, and also Alex is amazing, so if you look at him, he's just amazing. I'm just stressed. Blue Sky, we don't know enough about it. Everything we've heard up till now was scary. I feel like I want to go back. I think before the next episode, I'm going to try and find the scenes in which they discuss Blue Sky to find out what I think of it, but I'm so stressed. Alex, be brave like you were doing, but be careful and make sure you know what you're up to. I'm guessing, seeing as he didn't seem to have to drive like really far, they have a base around Roswell, so maybe he's going to get to stay there with us all and be part of the show and not leave and become a shady guy. I don't think that's what he's going to do. I'm stressed. I'm stressed for Michael, I'm stressed for Alex, I'm stressed for Max, I'm stressed for Isabel, I'm stressed for Liz, I'm stressed for Rosa, I'm stressed for Maria, I'm stressed for Kyle even. I'm just stressed. So yeah, this show is beyond phenomenal. I'm so sorry I've talked for like half an hour. If anyone has got to this point, thank you. Yeah, let me know what you think. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction in my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.